Mr. Bean accidentally sneezed at an expensive famous painting. To his horror, the painting was covered in saliva. Instinctively, he pulled out his handkerchief to wipe it clean, but after wiping, he was stunned. A large blue stain had appeared on the painting. Only then did Bean realize that the pen in his pocket had leaked ink at some point. Bean was completely dumbfounded. Even if he sold himself, he couldn't afford to pay for the damage. Bean quickly locked the exhibition hall doors, then carefully took down the famous painting, trying to clean it again with a dampened corner of his shirt. But with too much force, he separated the canvas from the frame entirely, and unable to control himself, he even stepped on the painting several times. Now everything was completely ruined. Helplessly, Bean covered the painting with a white cloth, disguised it as a table, and secretly left the exhibition hall. Bean then snuck into a storage room, searching frantically inside until he finally found a bucket of paint thinner. Bean carefully dampened a cloth and wiped the painting, and amazingly, he managed to clean off all the blue stains. Bean couldn't help but marvel at what a genius he was. But just as he turned around, the painting that had just been restored suddenly began to bubble. Bean was once again scared nearly out of his wits. He tried to quickly stop the paint from dissolving, but the dissolved paint came right off with a simple wipe. Bean's rescue attempt successfully transformed the elegant old lady into an elegant headless maiden. Bean had no choice but to take the painting back to the exhibition hall. To prevent others from discovering what happened, he cleverly blocked the main entrance to the hall. Just then, staff member David entered through a side door and immediately noticed that the famous painting on the wall had disappeared. He quickly asked Bean about the painting's whereabouts. Bean struggled to find words for a long time, and finally, with a guilty conscience, lifted up the frame. Seeing the altered painting, David literally jumped up and down in shock. David was, after all, the person in charge of this famous painting exhibition. At that moment, he seemed to envision his own tragic fate, but he still refused to accept reality and insisted on taking another look at the painting. Everyone was eagerly anticipating tomorrow's unveiling ceremony. With no other options, the two men had to figure out how to put the painting back in its original place. David was so stressed he couldn't sleep. He took Bean to a bar, hoping that getting drunk would help him forget everything. Indeed, the two drunk men were able to sing together cheerfully. But that night, Bean, realizing the magnitude of his mistake, couldn't fall asleep at all. However, he learned from David's son that there was a poster of that famous painting in his room. Bean suddenly had an idea. After gathering his toolkit of laxatives, glue, hairdryer, eggs, and other crime tools, he secretly made his way to the art museum. He first pretended to call for help to distract the security guard, slipped laxatives into the guard's water cup, then mixed up the bathroom keys. The security guard realized something was wrong. Taking advantage of the guard's absence from his post, Bean infiltrated the room where the famous painting was stored. While the security guard tried each key to open the bathroom door, Bean had already begun implementing his plan. By the time he completed his series of operations, the increasingly anxious security guard still hadn't found the right key to open the bathroom.